anything good about the morning, you can definitely get it here. My name is Jerome Paul Sonko, and many thanks for joining us. This is Smart Means Business. Good morning, Uganda. I do hope you're all doing okay, and let me hope that your morning is definitely moving on as well. A week where we are still celebrating women. Well, for the women, wherever you are spending your Women's Day special day, the public holiday felicitations, well, I hope you did enjoy that one. Pretty much, it was Women's Day yesterday, and women were being celebrated. When you look across social media, people are celebrating women that matter in their lives, and I don't know which woman matters in your life, or whether it's your mother, your wife, your spouse, or literally your sister, or any. But hey, this is your driving force for business, and we're definitely here to actually usher you into a brand new day, a morning Kickstarter dedicated to making sure you receive relevant information that drives your business, information that takes you forward, back, forth, and of course, making sure that deep calls onto deep. Yes, this is it. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. Did I get my name right? Definitely. All right. Now, we're definitely going to first kickstart it off with our first SMB report, where the civil society organizations have roared, saying stakeholders should stop advertising their labor as cheap. The civil society organizations have lashed out at stakeholders to stop advertising their labor as cheap, as from the various consultations and community engagements with casual laborers and community representatives. It is quite evident that cases of exploiting workers by foreign investors is on the rise, as well as rights violations. And with this regard, civil society organizations say that this is as a result of some government officials, hear this one, some government officials who go to foreign countries and advertise Uganda of having cheap labor force. Let's first have a look at this report. We do return to say otherwise.
Uganda, like any other African country, has put in place policies and regulations to try to attract foreign direct investment to provide employment and support economic growth. However, some of these policies look at attracting investment at the expense of Ugandans. Civil society organizations have therefore attributed this to some government officials, adding that in a bid to attract investments, government markets Uganda's labor force as cheap, and this has given investors a leeway to degrade Ugandans, especially women.
Government, we cannot be advertising our labor as cheap labor to the investors. I think it is just a starting point to show the lack of commitment from the government to be able to protect the workers from exploitation. I think such an advert, we need even to shun it as a country, to refuse it to be used, that it is one of the, the selling point for a country that you have cheap labor. No, we don't have cheap labor. We have labor that is able to deliver on the different responsibilities, but not cheap labor. So we call upon the government of Uganda to implement those recommendations that were duly put in place by a duly constituted minimum wages advisory board, and the government received this, even cabinet, which is chaired by the president himself, received these recommendations, and we call upon him, if he's a pro-women, because women earn very little, to implement these recommendations. That is very important, that these women are protected.
They urged the government of Uganda to address the gaps in all investment-related legal frameworks to ensure the protection of rights of workers, the women in particular, community and environmental rights. They called on the government to implement the Minimum Wages Advisory Board outcomes, which indicates that Uganda can vehemently take on minimum wage.
That the Parliament of Uganda had passed the minimum wages bill, and when it went to the President of Uganda, under the advice of the Attorney General of this country, they said, okay, the existing law is sufficient enough to be able to revise the minimum wage. That existing law, the government used it in the year 2014 to appoint a minimum wages advisory board. And that minimum wages advisory board was tasked to go and undertake a study to recommend to government what would be the appropriate minimum wage. And indeed, that board went and did a study, launched the findings, and recommended a minimum wage in most sectors of 130,000. That came out clearly. Using the existing law, we are not even asking government to come up with a new law, but just to use the existing law, which the Attorney General said it is sufficient enough to allow government to revise the minimum wage so that the workers in this country are protected.
Civil society organizations say that the government should as well investigate the situations of workers in commercial investment schemes such as factories, flower farms and plantations with a view to secure redress for the affected persons.
Statement: prioritize the right to dignity and livelihood of women workers in commercial investment schemes. A call to government and to the investors. We, the civil society organizations working on women, land, health, labor rights and development-related issues, wish to register our apprehension for the continued violation and abuse of workers' rights, especially the women workers, health, environment, and land rights of individuals and communities by investors in commercial investment schemes.
I will also emphasize that without a minimum wage in this country, most women earn little pay for long days of work at the expense of their human rights, while companies which engage their manual labor continue to belch on huge profits. Like they were talking, some of the money, and I think it was a good point. You will find that a man earns, let's say, 40,000, but where a man earns 40,000, a woman is earning about 20,000. But at the end of the day, the investor is making a lot of money, and they are belching on those huge profits at the expense of this woman.
It was in the same place that we caught up with Nabusu Kotilda and Namubiru Jocelyn from Mukono na Kisugu, Buziranju Parish, who claims that a one Muzungu foreign investor wants to evict them from their ancestral land, where they called for their rescue from the stakeholders.
Tukaba kulwaffe, tukaba kulw'abaana baffe, tukaba kulw'obwavu. Oyinza okuba weewoze ssente olime ennyaanya. Oleeta manure oteeke mu nnyaanya. Stop here. Togenda, temuyingizaawo mmotoka. Kati ennyaanya zotatadde bigimusa onoozikungula. Kati abaakuwola ssente onoobasasuzaaki. Kati ebyokwewola twabivaako dda. Era bw'omuwulira abaaya omulango ogudduukirirwa, ffe tuteekwa okudduukira kubanga abaana baffe batudde. Tetulina kye tukola kiri awo. Byenyogeddeko bye bitono, ebisigadde emabega bye bingi, ebizibu bye tubaddemu bye bingi. Basiba abasajja abakulu babakaazakaaza n'ogali kati bamulanga ki.
Nasasula eyo abantu emmanga bonna ssente, nze teyansasula. Neneebuuzaako ku Amuza n'aŋŋamba olina genda waggulu kubuuza lwaki teyakusasula. Kati mbadde nzirukiddeko eno mumpe ku magezi kubanga mbonaabona n'abaana ng'ate bba wange yafa aguzeewo.
According to the report titled Land Grabs at Gunpoint, foreign investors dealing in agribusiness have been blamed for the ongoing land grabbing in the country. More than 35,000 people from all over 20 villages are homeless and are being evicted from about 9,300 acres of land in Kirandongo to pave way for large-scale farming. Government should therefore review the Investment Code Act 2019 to address the challenges associated with large-scale land-based investment to include human rights impact assessments. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Well, when you look at civil society organizations sending in their complaints, that their government officials who normally get out of the country go in there and advertise that we have cheap labor. Besides the fact that there are issues also regarding land evictions when investors land into the country. But look at the situation whereby Ugandans who go and trail abroad to actually earn a better pay accordingly, do find it challenging sometimes as they reach those countries and someone, maybe a representative from Uganda, had already created a negotiation process for them already, and in a situation whereby they would actually reach in there and they've been told completely that, hey, you know, we were told that you offer cheap labor, so we cannot pay for this particular effort using this particular amount. This is actually quite what it can actually reap worse, let's say, worse repercussions in the long run. Reason being that most of the reasons as to why some Ugandans choose to go abroad or choose to go to the Middle East, go to the United States, and also go to Europe is because they do believe that by the time they leave Uganda and move to those countries, they will be earning twice as much as they've been earning, or even thrice as much as they've been earning. But then reaching the other side and there's nothing different with that, and you're still receiving cheap labor, it actually affects you. And maybe you would actually, that is why you would see some people getting into mental depression or anything to do with feeling dissatisfied with their actions or their decisions while leaving their country. Well, but still, furthermore, we do hope that this remains into the locker and not growing bigger as time goes by, because we do believe Ugandans do offer quite effective labor once they leave this country. Well, besides that, let's head into the other business report, as we are still in the celebrations, like I said, of Women's Day. Here, we talk women empowerment now, as women have been urged to create a better version of themselves to thrive in business. When you look at women empowerment, it can be defined as a way of promoting women's sense of self-worth, their ability to determine their own choices, and their right to influence social change for themselves and others. And in Uganda today, a number of government, non-government and private sector groups have come up to call for women empowerment through seeking for gender equality, more so in workspaces. At a Women's Day dialogue, which was held at Piatto Restaurant in Kampala, women were urged to always better themselves by coming up with a better version, by skilling up and coming up with new innovations so as to thrive in business. Let's check out the details.
Yes.
Smart 24 TV happened to avail itself at a Women's Day dialogue that was held at Piatto Restaurant in Kampala, which was organized by the Precision Hub Consult, who also launched a platform of women empowerment. Caroline Abalo Okello, the CEO of Precision Hub Consult, said that they launched the platform of women empowerment as Precision Hub, and they made this launch on Women's Day to give a platform for women to come up pronouncedly as able competitors in the market space.
Today, being Women's Day 2022, is when we were launching the platform for women empowerment as a firm. And we came out to just simply align to the global theme of breaking through the barriers and the biases to women empowerment under a sub-theme as a firm of identifying the relevant and promotable woman in the market space. And specifically, we aligned this to a platform where among the things that come out pronouncedly as barriers to women getting into a space of relevance in the market space is their inability to come out as women of excellence. And when we talk about excellence and the inefficiencies that women have exhibited in the professional space, we find that women have come out pronouncedly as people that can't be depended on when you must think of a woman in leadership in the market space. Women have turned out as those that are not so reliable when you need them to the tail end of products in the market space. So coming together as a body of women, holding each other's hands and pushing each other to the next ladder, to their God-given purpose, was the primary reason we came into this space.
Abalo advises women to continue upgrading in their professions, and they should set competition within themselves, as they will always seek for a better version of themselves if they want to be highly recognized in the market space, and also encourages them to continue with research in order to come up with new innovations.
Advice for women to be able to stay on top of their A game is that for you to stay in a space of excellence, You compete with no one on the market, but your competition is with you of yesterday. So regardless of whether people are seeing quality in what you do, you should always be thriving for a better version of what you're providing. So that way you're not able to compromise, and you don't find yourself in a space of satisfaction no matter what, because it is evident that the sky should be the limit for this woman. For as long as one is still breathing, they should be thriving and thriving to get in their quality to top-notch market until you feel there is actually nothing you can add on the market. And the only way we know that you have nothing else to add in the market, your time is fast spent, is when you're not on earth anymore. So for as long as one is still existent in this field, it means they have to invest in themselves, investing in themselves in the spaces of coaching and mentorship, doing a lot of reading, because the materials are actually available, getting into the spaces of those that have actually done the kind of trade that you're in and learning from them, and creating hybrids, jumping in the spaces of innovation. We believe that alone will keep people hungry for what you have to provide in the industry.
Evelyn Asio Patra, a lecturer at Makerere University, reminds women that they have the ability to execute the same duties as the men and do it well if at all they believe in their abilities.
Can women really emerge in Uganda? I think that's very possible, because when God created us, He placed in us everything we needed to emerge. He saw us the way we are supposed to be before we are right now. About business, definitely. It just takes a few things. For example, if you know your identity, you're able to understand where you are right now and where you are supposed to be, and then how to get there. If you know that you're a creation of God, you will learn how to depend on Him, and then He will let you get higher every day, every single day, moreover. I believe that there are many challenges here in Uganda because of the stereotypes. Women are supposed to do this, women are not supposed to do this, this is a man's job, that is only for men. But I believe that when God created man and woman, there was dominion in an equal level, and the dominion can take charge and make a business thrive. There are some women who feel like for them, this is not for them, because they believe they belong in the background. But there is no way that a nation can thrive when women are staying behind. You know why? Because we are the ones who produce. We are the ones who nurture. How are you going to nurture if you don't come out? If you stay behind, you stay in the back, and you will not get the opportunity to have the impact that you need. If anything, you'll be in a comfort zone where you're not thinking straight. You are always thinking behind, rather than forward. When you're behind, you can't see what's ahead. Like in my book, I say Crocs, because Crocs keep you down. You stay down, you cannot see high. But when you put on stilettos, you rise up and you're able to see beyond. Oh my God, there's something there for me. I can run and grab it. And that is exactly what you need to understand. That as long as God created you, there is a purpose to emerge, whether in business, whether in empowering others, whether in nurturing great children, but your impact should have, your work should have an impact on the nation, and the nation will develop. Every woman can do it.
Hilda Adrabo, a human resource practitioner, reveals that in Uganda today, a number of women have stood up and have great performances that have highly been appreciated in society because of their efforts.
Women have impacted a lot on the economy of the country, especially because in the workspace we have been able to be deliberate to employ a number of women. So women are doing their best to get there, and they've been able to rise up the ladders. We can see we have a lot of CEOs in this country that are leading, like Stanbic Bank. We have a CEO being a lady. The Registrar General of Uganda Registrations Bureau is a lady. So I think they're doing their best to get to the topmost positions, despite the challenges they've been able to encounter from the agenda.
Well, being a better version of yourself is always to actually help you develop by looking back at yourself, how you were doing things yesterday. It is setting competition within you, because in most cases, if at all you remain in a comfort zone, you never know how far you are developing or how far you're actually making more out of yourself. So it is better to create an atmosphere that pushes you forward, that builds that competition within yourself, not only to the women, but as well as to the men. It is a holistic something here where we can all be part of this kind of situation, because if you come up with innovations, it is very important for you to at least sit back and at least evaluate yourself and see whether what you produced yesterday is the same thing that you're producing the next day, so that you can at least add on to something the following day. Creating a better version of yourself is very important for any business to thrive. Well, with that, we do take a break, but Smart Means Business is going to continue with more of the SMB across borders as we look at the international stories that are making headlines from the business world.